Today I am starting with some breakfast, simple eggs and some turkey bacon, and of course coffee. And then I'm just going to be keeping the laundry moving and hanging out with my girls and then getting dinner started. So I want to talk about the shift that happens when you go from not having kids to having kids. And for me, it was a lot. It was a blessing. I love kids are such a blessing. They're a gift, they're a reward, and our culture does not view it like that as a whole. And so that's something we really have to fight for and know to experience them right and have the right mindset as parents. But it was a big shift for me. I had kids older and then I also had twins, so it was double. And it was just a big shift getting used to the rhythms of how you do things with kids. Like you can't just take, 5 hours and clean your house. Like you can't just be like, okay, I'm gonna do this for this, 6 hours. You have to do things in pieces. And it took me a while to get used to that rhythm. And I've come a long, long way, but I still find myself needing to get used to it. But it's such a helpful mentality when you realize it's a short season. Little kids are not little for long. My girls are almost 3 now, and it just blows my mind. And it is an honor and like a sacred responsibility to be able to take care of them. And it is a lot and it's challenging and it requires a lot from us. But they are such a blessing and they are learning. I was thinking this today. They learn everything from us. They don't know what anything is. They don't know what an air conditioning vent is. They don't know what a doorknob is. They don't know what fruits and vegetables are. And we get to teach them everything. And we are their first reflection of everything. And it is amazing and it's a big responsibility. But just if you're a new parent or finding yourself adjusting to having multiple kids, give yourself grace and time, but also realize like you cannot have the same expectations that you had before kids, the same expectations of how time goes. You need to work in the pockets, the small pockets of time that you have, and realize some days they're not going to nap, or some days there's going to be a mess to clean up that you didn't expect, and that is okay. Being flexible, letting go, laughing things off, realizing, hey, everything's hitting the fan right now, but it's going to be fine in 30 minutes. It's going to be fine in an hour. I'm going to have time to rest at some point in time. And just taking a deep breath and realizing it's a short and sacred season and you get to form and mold the kids that are in your care. And it's so, so, so incredible. So I just wanted to start out with that. So I'm getting the laundry moving and keeping that going. I do laundry all the time. We don't keep a lot of clothes. I like to try to keep things minimal. I'm constantly moving towards that, but I do laundry almost every day, smaller loads, and just keep things going. That way I never get super behind. I love that rhythm and flow. I've done that for years and years and years, over 10 years. And I've ebbed and flowed on that, and this is just the way it works best for me, especially now having kids. So I'm getting started on dinner now. I actually cut up this onion during lunchtime before I put my girls down for their nap, and then I prepped dinner while they were sleeping. And these are just little things like going back to the pockets of time, chopping up the onion, cleaning the cutting board. Doesn't take long, but it's one of those things that just having the onion cut up, having anything cut up that you're going to add if you have the free time before. I don't always do this, but sometimes I'm just like, oh, I'm going to do this real quick. So I got this cut up, put it in the fridge, and then I'm making meatloaf. And so I later was just able to throw everything together and mix it up. And it saved me a few minutes, and I don't stress about those things. I'm not like frantically worrying, but sometimes just knowing like, oh, I can do this right now and it works, or oh, I can't do that right now and it's totally fine. Just ebbing and flowing in the pockets of time that you have and realizing that is how things work in this season of life. And it is just so helpful. It's been so helpful to me. So I'm getting these potatoes boiling for mashed potatoes and added lots of salt. And then I'm doing some just simple mixed vegetables with them. So here I'm mixing everything up for the meatloaf. I do eggs, seasoning, salt, garlic salt, onion powder, parsley. I did a little paprika, and then I add some tomato sauce, and I did a combo of breadcrumbs and oatmeal. My mom, a lot of times making meatloaf growing up, did not use breadcrumbs. She used oatmeal, and it works really, really well, and it's a really good option if you're gluten free to make a meatloaf to do oatmeal. So dried oatmeal, that is a great option. If you haven't had this oatmeal from Costco, it's great. It's a sprouted oatmeal, which really helps with the anti-nutrients, and it's just a much better oatmeal for you overall. Anyways, so put that all together, a couple eggs, mix it up, throw it in the oven. Delicious. Love it. And while I put this meatloaf in the oven and have the potatoes going, I took some time to mix together some dough for English muffins, sourdough English muffins. So this evening I'm mixing them up. I made them pretty early, so I put the dough in the fridge to pause it. And then before bed, I sat the dough out on the countertop to ferment overnight. And they turned out so good because the ideal time is generally to mix up the dough after my girls go to bed. But a lot of times I don't want to be working in the kitchen after they go down. It just depends on the day. Sometimes I don't mind. It doesn't take very long. But sometimes I'm just done. The kitchen's closed. So what I've been doing is mixing up the dough, sticking it in the fridge for, that couple, 4 hours, and then I'll just pull it out, a little bit before bedtime and let it do its overnight ferment on the counter. And it's, winter right now, so it's cooler for the most part. And it's just a great flow for that. I ended up having to add a little extra water to these. I got my measurements off and added a half cup of water instead of a cup. And I was like, what's going on with this dough? Then I figured it out. So I added the water in, which was a bit of a process because the dough was already mixed, but they turned out awesome. And I love English muffins. They're so good. Definitely nostalgic for me. We had them a lot growing up. this all came together for dinner and was so yummy. Love having leftovers. This is a great meal for leftovers. And I did, as I often say, I did freeze some of it. Anytime we have eaten leftovers a couple times and there's more left, I love to freeze a meal or two and have those ready to go in the freezer. There's my little helper scrubbing down the fridge. So here I'm getting, this is the next day, this is the next morning. The English muffins are all ready to go. They rose. I added in the other ingredients that you add right before you make them and shaped them a little bit, put some ground cornmeal on them to help with the sticking, and then you just fry them, which it's like a pretty dry skillet, but you do a little bit of oil and cook them in a pan. And putting a lid on it really helps because they don't always want to cook through. And then I just for safety, just not like safety, but keep making sure they're done. I like to stick them in the oven for about 8 minutes afterwards on about 300 to make sure they're just done all the way through. And these are so good and so easy. As always, it was great being with you guys. I hope you lean into things that are helpful for you and your family and that you have a great week. I'll see you next time.